Thanks to those joining me live and to those that be joining me and the rest of the panel here on Archive. We're being joined by Hailstorm Sports right here, a.k.a. Scott Hale. We got Chief Funky. We got Rob Boxing TV. We got Ringside Reporter, a.k.a. Beeb. And we got El Maestro Milcar, okay? And we're getting ready to get this started. Kind of local already in the chat saying he's showing his support. Tiny Tim, how's it going? If you're listening on Archive, make sure you hit the like button. Shout out to Live the Ring Network. If you're listening on iHeart, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, etc., Stitcher, you name it. All right. Let's go ahead and get this one started. We're going to start off with this. The network or app, because we are in 2020. Times have changed a little bit, right? Let's start with you, Hailstorm.
Yes, sir.
In your opinion, tell about how you tell your story, man. Like what? Because you were away from the sport a little bit. Tell us what got you back into the sport, and which network or app do you think is the best of the year in your opinion?
Yes, sir. I mean, I've known D-Style for a minute, Habib as well, Dave too, for that matter. But I would say I took a little boxing hiatus, but COVID has obviously been a horrible thing in many of our lives, but it has brought me back to the sweet science. And I'd say that's the thing is I actually changed my title to the casual fan because I am that, but you know how boxing is. You can only quit it so long. All it takes is one great round, one great fight, and you're sucked back in. I'm not a fan of ESPN and just in general, but I'd say The Zone is probably what I watched the most this year. And second would be ESPN by default. Their announcing crew drives me absolutely nuts. But I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, I would go with The Zone. And forever, I thought it was dancing. Forever, I thought it was dancing. I was like, what the hell?
Right. Right. A lot of people thought. Raw Boxing TV, I mean, you were sucked into the sport. Like, I kind of tell people how that happened. And in your opinions, as you started watching, which network do you believe, deserves the award for best network or app of the year?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. And for those that don't know me, I've been in YouTube at the YTBC since 2008. But 6 years ago, I decided to take a break and decompress from all the nonsense in the sport. I was being affected very deeply by the gossip and business side of the sport. I'm a purist when it comes to boxing. I like boxing, and if you notice throughout my video, I try to focus more on attributes of a fighter, the breakdown of a fight, the keys to victories of each fight, and I'm not so much into who's ducking who and why are they ducking each other and none of this nonsense, right? But I love boxing so much that even I was away for 6 years, but it was something that was you get that little bug in you that it's like, I wonder who's fighting, and I'm not gonna watch it. I hate the sport, but in reality, you don't. You're just trying to push yourself to go through that decompression period, however long it takes. And then it really took me seeing a few channels that were sort of moving away from the usual. Oh, he's ducking. Oh, he's this. Oh, he's that. And I'm like, I'm taking an interest on this channel. One was obviously you guys. The other one was Showbiz. Showbiz to me keeps it very neutral. There was the 10 Players, which he doesn't upload a lot, and he subscribed to me. But it was kind of like I saw their video by accident. I logged into YouTube on my phone, and I didn't realize I was signing to Raw Boxing TV. And I looked, and I'm like, dang, I still have 2,000 subscribers hanging around. I haven't been here in years, and I've lost. So I said, I'm going to upload a video. Next thing you know, you hit me up. G-Funk hit me up, and the rest is history. We're here. And you see, I've been grinding. Big things coming. Big things coming for HCP. Big things coming for Raw Boxing TV. And I like to say big things coming for all of us, really.
Absolutely, man. Joe Habib, what is the network / app of the year in your opinion?
going to say Fox. I think Fox puts on the best shows. They show a lot of the up-and-coming prospects. And fortunately, we've had a lot of those guys on our show. We've had Vito Milnecki on there. We had the Barrientos twins on there as well. And I like how they're showcasing not just their big names, but they're showcasing their whole stable. And they're giving us a lot of good fights and a lot of good title fights. And even, some of these pay-per-view fights, I didn't even really mind paying for this year because I thought they were high quality, to be honest with you. So I'm going to go with Fox. I think PBC killed it this year. Under the circumstances, I think they killed it this year.
All right, well, there you go. Fox, PBC Fox specifically is a vote for Beeb. A shout out to Kind of Local Sports, Bruce Goes, A-Rod out there. Shout out to you guys, man. Make sure you jab my like button. Share this video on all your social media platforms. Chief Funky, talk to us. Who is a network or app of the year?
For me, I'm going to have to go with ESPN Top Rank, man. I felt like they did a good job of, showcasing the young talent. When the pandemic hit and they were the first ones to come back and start putting boxing back on, we got to see a lot of the young kids out there that got bright futures, like Shakur Stevenson, Robeisio Ramirez was featured a lot. Berlanga, we saw a lot of the young prospects out there. Were featured. We had a couple of big fights on ESPN, regular ESPN. We had Jose Ramirez versus Postal, which was a pretty meaningful fight there. And then we got Teofimo Lopez versus Lomachenko for free. I did great numbers, and I don't want to give it away now, but in my opinion, they had the fight of the year, which kind of flew under the radar. But I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit later. So
we could have done it without saying that. Come on now. Go ahead.
well, it was. I'm sorry, man. I had to just say it because
got the knockout of the year and the upset of the year too. We might as well just spill the beans. Go ahead.
But yeah, I got to give it to them, man. I felt like they did. I mean, all boxing I felt did really good considering what happened, but I have to tip my hat to Top Rank and ESPN.
All right, man. Speaking of the Leave It in the Ring family and everybody listening on the podcast form, Milcar, talk to us. Who is the best, in your opinion, network, app, whatever?
Thanks, D-Style. I wish you went to me before Joe because I have the exact same answer as him. For me, it's by far and away, it's Fox. It's like, as they say in England, a country mile. The best fight on ESPN this year, the biggest fight they had was also on Fox. It was the Tyson Fury-Deontay Wilder rematch. They started off the calendar with that
was ESPN.
Yeah, the biggest fight on ESPN was also on Fox Sports pay-per-view. You could have bought it on ESPN or on Fox Sports. Yeah, you could.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
I bought a Fox pay-per-view.
I stand corrected. Okay. But it was run by
I got the receipt.
Yeah. So, and then they started off the year with the Williams Rosario card, which I thought was a great card and had an exciting fight. And they did have their Fegan Butts fights with Caleb Plant, but overall, I thought it was a well-balanced calendar with championship fights, kind of contender fights, and prospect fights. Up to even this last weekend, we saw a big upset with Barrientos losing. I just thought they had a really solid year, and I actually have a lot of complaints about ESPN, honestly, because the way they ran their app, I was expecting to see a lot more international fights than I did. Fox is clear, like they're focused on fights taking place with the PBC in the United States of America. I thought ESPN, with its international outreach and channels in multiple countries, was going to show us the latest Tim Tszyu fight. They didn't. I thought they were going to show us the Anthony Yard-Alex Arthur fight. They didn't. I thought they would be bringing us the Ioka Tanaka fight that a lot of us are excited about. They're not. Yet, they're showing all of these fucking cards in other countries. I did an episode, or not an upload about this just about an hour ago. I did a stream where I was just showing how
That's what this is about.
Is taking place in all of the countries in America, in Latin America, in the Caribbean, Central America, Mexico, South America, you name it, whatever you want to categorize it as. ESPN's there and they're showing this fight. But ESPN here in the United States is not. So just off that, they got to get it straight. Are you international? Are you United States? Because Fox has chosen a lane and they're dominating at the lane end.
All right. Hey, this is we got something here. Hey, shout out to D Bivol, the champ. I appreciate that. He says salute to D Style and the entire 8CP. Hey man, we appreciate that, man. A-Rod says Fox #1 fight, Spence, Danny. Happel tap on you saying what's going on? How's it going, man? And kind of local sports, ESPN for me, because I cover Puerto Rican boxing and most of them are there. You know what I mean? Smash that like button, everybody. Look. Gotta go with ESPN. I saw Milcard trying to give credit to Fox, but that was an ESPN production that fight was. Okay, that ESPN.
Lennox was there. Lennox was there.
It's 50-50, right?
Lennox was there. Lennox was there.
60-40 ESPN. You know what I mean? Who won the fight? The ESPN guy won the fight.
He paid Fox.
Nah, but it was it Fox pay-per-view for real?
Yeah,
it was available on the Fox app, but it was also available on ESPN.
Yeah, that's why I said I couldn't give them the win on that. I just said I couldn't give them the win because it was also on Fox. It's like when Bobby Ches was working with Jim Lampley. The Tyson Lennox Lewis fight. It was a co-production.
Manny Pacquiao, Mayweather was the same, yeah.
Yep.
But I got to give it to ESPN. Let me tell you why, man. I just think, first of all, Bob got us. He got the ball rolling. Now, we got hit by a pandemic. He got the ball rolling. You can complain about the level of fights, but guess what? He wasn't going to give us like the best of the best a week after like a bunch of people got hit by coronavirus and we didn't know anything about the virus. You know what I mean? But he got us some fights, man, and some of them were pretty good. The Franco Maloney fight, underrated. I think that was a big upset, you know. Not the rematch, not that, but we still got controversy out of it. Fox Sports, I mean, who did Lara fight again on Fox? Like
Vendetti?
Who was that dude? V for Vendetta or whatever the dude's name was? I don't even know who that dude was.
You didn't like Helenius Kaunaki? That was a good fight.
I mean,
Charlo versus Derevyanchenko. Charlo versus Derevyanchenko.
Hey, yeah, that was it was solid.
Those are good fights. Yeah.
But what about Berlanga being featured, right? This phenom, big star, dancing with Snoop Dogg and all that stuff, right? Because he was on ESPN being viewed by 2.2 million people, right? And not to mention Teofimo Lopez and Lomachenko. This is a really important note for everybody to listen to. All right. Usually, you'll get these big ratings after a big college football game, right? Well, that's because they were watching the Gators just play and they haven't flipped the channel yet. Okay. That's why you had those 2.2 million. But Teofimo Lopez, Lomachenko, come on. There was boxing on for 3 hours, right? Yeah. And the ratings went up and almost 4 million people watched that fight, right? That was a big deal. I got to give it to ESPN because they could have put that on pay-per-view, but they put it for free, and that's a big deal for boxing. That's how you create fans, and I thought that was a big deal.
I thought that was on pay-per-view.
Crawford with the anchor punch knockout. I mean, come on.
Flop City on pay-per-view.
Well, I mean, all the Fox pay-per-views are flop cities, so it works against your argument, Milcard. That's all I got to say about that one, right?
No, 300,000 at $80 a pop. That's not bad.
Anybody giving it to Triller for the Tyson Jones pay-per-view?
Nah.
Just for Snoop's commentary.
Yeah, but we gotta admit, though. I mean, it was just the legend stuff, but he gave us something that we would only imagine in the past, right? We never got to see Jones and Tyson, and even though we went into it already knowing that it was just
exhibition.
An exhibition. It at least gave us the the food for eyes, for the eyes, So I didn't agree with the price, but hey, it turned out to be good, and it produced Floyd versus Paul.
Oh, and by the way,
So
not
then
to mention the
that's
ESPN
right?
Plus fights, right? The fight of the year was on ESPN. We'll talk about that later, okay? Right?
Mhm.
The Pocho Ramirez fight, right? And then who else is going to call Ramirez Ramirez?
Mirrors.
Right? Like Timothy Bradley. That is an epic moment that we will remember forever. But hey, chat, let me know what you guys think. I mean, obviously, one thing I do notice it is a current theme for a lot of people that got back to the sport or are getting into the sport. The zone is working, right? A lot of people mention the zone. A lot of the hardcores that have been watching it for a long time don't really pick the zone. Maybe because we're stuck in our ways or something. We want to watch it on TV. I don't know, but at the end of the day, the zone is making an impact, and we'll see how it goes. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say the zone had some fights, but they also had like
What was that?
I was saying the zone had some fights, but they also had like an 8-week spell where like you look at their calendar, it was just like fucking cricket.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like those crickets. I mean like actually the sport cricket.
And darts and stuff.
Yeah, and dart
throwing.
I didn't subscribe to you for
cricket wireless.
I subscribe to you for boxing.
A lot of snooker on there. A lot of snooker.
I mean, but
let's do this. Let's transition over to the boxing event. Of the year. Let's start with event of the year.
That's a hard.
I got my answer on that one.
Boxing event, huh?
Go ahead, Amilcar.
For me, it's Wilder Fury 2. It not only was a good fight, it had a lot of lead up to it, and then with the Glovegate thing happening for months and months and months, I mean, it's still going on. I mean, it's had a very lasting effect throughout the year. Plus, it was, let's face it, it was for the heavyweight championship of the world, so it's tough to beat that.
Yep.
Yeah, I gotta agree with it.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Chief Fucky, what do you think? What do you think, Chief Fucky?
I think Amilcar, you made me. I was on the fence about it, but I think I'm going to roll with you, Amilcar. I have to agree.
Wow. Hellstorm.
Not only do I agree for the reasons mentioned before, but also that was like pre-COVID. You know what I mean? So it's like that actually feels like it was years ago, right? I mean, like Kobe dying, like all that stuff feels like it was a decade ago. So just seeing the live crowd. I've been picking Wilder to get knocked out for like 5 years straight. So seriously, like D-Style knows this. I think I bet Stavern was going to put him to sleep. I mean, he punches so wild. I always found it ironic that Mark Breland was his trainer, right? Because it's like he literally fights the exact opposite of Breland. So, but yeah, to me, just the build up. Fury's hilarious. Unlike a lot of these guys, he's actually good at talking shit because a lot of guys are loud, but like they really aren't clever. You know what I mean? Like, they just like, for example, look at Floyd. He just says, I'm rich, it's over and over and over. And I'm undefeated, I'm rich. Like Fury's funny as hell. And you could tell that he really got under Wilder's skin.
Yeah.
You could tell that the first fight made him more confident. I feel like he watched the first fight and knew exactly what he did wrong. And, plus, like I said, I mean, that was like the last, I feel like big live event, And so it's just, I would say that was definitely the event of the year.
Wow. Joe Habib, any disagreements? And if not, well, what do you want to add to that?
There's only one Tyson Fury. You big dosser.
That's Fury. Is that a vote for Fury Wilder?
100%.
Rob, did you want to add into? I don't want to cut you short or anything, but did you want to add anything to that, Beeb?
No, I definitely do want to put not my 2 cents, my 15 cents into this because this is one of the fight that actually sat me down in front of a TV to watch a professional bout for the first time in 6 years. I sat down to watch this fight mainly because I heard of the first one. And I said, man, I can't believe boxing is still doing the same thing, you know, because in my opinion, once I was told about the first one, I went and took a look at it. I had Tyson Fury, the clear winner of that fight. And so when once I said, you know, I'm gonna watch this fight. And to let you know how eager I was to watch this fight, I was in the middle of the mountains in Liberty, Tennessee at a men's retreat, just up there, right? I still logged in to watch that fight with the horrible internet that they had, right? And so I watched that fight, and it was something that clicked. I was like, I'm gonna do a video. So 2 days later, I made it back home. I did a video, right? But not only that, let me tell you something. You already know what my thoughts are on Glovegate, just based on the fact that I have fought before. I trained fighters. None of that matters. I'll tell you what really matters to me is that Tyson Fury, forget the past that he's had, or never mind the past that he's had as a quote unquote cheater or whatever the case might be. In this fight specifically, in the lead up and the build up for this second fight specifically, you've never seen an opponent look at Deontay Wilder's eyes and tell him you're a bum. Never. And you've never seen an opponent while being interviewed look at the camera and said, if I can't beat Deontay Wilder, I'm a bum. You've never seen an opponent get in front of Deontay Wilder and talk to him the way he was being talked to. Yeah. Not to mention, you've never seen an opponent the size of Tyson Fury in front of Deontay Wilder act in such a crazy manner, right? And to add to that, we all have to know that it doesn't matter if he got a draw in the first one. Deontay Wilder knows he lost that first one. But when you take all of that into consideration, the Deontay Wilder that stepped in the ring in that second fight, yeah, no wonder he was trying to look for excuses. Well, it was the suit, it was the spike water. Well, my legs, the green light on the lamp was too hot. Whatever the case might be, right? None of that mattered. The only thing that matters here is that the psychological breakdown that he suffered on the build-up to this fight took a toll the day of the fight.
Oh yeah.
Tyson Fury came and said, I'm going knock you out in the history.
Someone, I think it was Joe, mentioned the pre-fight stuff with Fury and, funny and whatnot. He totally is. And it's like that balance, like you were just saying, Raw, he's serious to you. He's serious with the reporter. And then he does something like he did in the build up to the first fight where Deontay's trying to intimidate him, is going, when I move, you move. And then Wilder comes back with a ludicrous impersonation, and it's like, just like that. And then he starts like in his head and also like feigning in front of him and just totally clowning him in front of all the people here. That was at New York City. That was here in New York City. I was very excited about that second fight.
Correct. And just to add a little more, and then I'll shut up, because if you don't stop me, I'll keep talking. Just go ahead. When you look at the way that Tyson Fury was being the captain of the show on the build up to this fight, right? Because that's what we want to talk about all these other fighters that sell fights like Floyd. You got to give it to Tyson Fury. He can put on a show before the fight, right?
Without a doubt.
When you look at the way Tyson Fury was the captain of that ship, right? And you look at the interview, I forget where it was, that interview where they're both sitting in a big chair on opposite side, and there's a lady asking them. Every time Deontay Wilder's going to answer a question, it's as if he's not comfortable even being there. It's as if he feels forced to like answer. The difference between that and the first fight is, in the first fight, he was talking about some Hollywood movie. I got this ancestral spirits inside of me and all this junk and all these, there's only but on the second fight, you saw a much quieter Deontay Wilder.
Because he knew
a much timid Deontay Wilder. Oh no, it wasn't no glove, Kate. It wasn't no nails through the leather scratching you inside the ear. It wasn't an egg weight inside your gloves. It was your brain, your psychological state of mind that had been destroyed by your opponent. That's what happened.
All right.
Hey,
okay.
One last thing I was gonna say. Hey,
go ahead.
I had forgotten about that dumbass outfit, man. That's got to be top 5 worst excuses. Because, dude, like, usually an excuse is something, dude, that like you can't control. Like, dude, you're the one that wore that medieval dumbass costume and you know what I'm saying, in the ring. Like it wasn't like Fury had, you know, I mean, so it's just funny, of all the excuses, he actually chose one that he had control over, which just makes it even stupider, you know?
Well, here's what I want to say. All right. I mean, I can't believe you guys don't believe that the event of the year is Anthony Joshua against Pulevan. Just kidding. Look, look. I do. Before I say what it is, I want to give a shout out to the great success and how important it was for boxing to have a big, successful event on a platform like ESPN, right? With Vasil Lomachenko against Teofimo Lopez, right? And the reason I'm saying that, boxing was on 3 hours for 3 hours, right? And the ratings went up when Teofimo Lopez and Lomachenko were walking to the ring. This was when there was MLB playoffs on, there was a big Alabama game on, and over 4 million people tuned in with the intent of watching that fight. Not after some game and you got some of that crowd. No, this was after 3 hours of boxing. And in a normal year, this fight probably wins the event of the year. However, heavyweight championship of the world, Fury versus Wilder, right? Big win for Fury. And it's definitely the event of the year because people are still talking about it. You know what I mean? It's still, right now, it's still the biggest topic. The fallout of it is still the biggest, more polarizing topic on all of, at least YouTube and everything that's all over social media, right? Now, we have a lot of things to go over. So you know, let's go ahead and proceed. But here's the next one, guys. The fight of the year. Let's start with Hailstorm, and I also want to ask you, what do you think is a bigger deal for, as a boxing fan, to you, the fighter of the year or fight of the year?
That's a good question. So now that I am at full-fledged casual fan status, I would say fight of the year, because that's what's going to draw me back.
Okay.
Because typically fighter of the year, I would think someone who's probably fought multiple times in that year. So, you know, I mean, I've may or may not have missed one of the fights, but fight of the year, that's what we're doing right now.
Yep.
I'm terrible, man, with names, but Jose Zapata versus Ivan, and I'll let D-Style say it for me.
Berenchik.
There you go. I'll go with Ivan. This is one of those fights that literally, if you're channel surfing or if you're not even a boxing fan and you caught like from round 3 on or whatever, like you would sit there and finish the fight. A lot of times my favorite fights are, I'd say, skilled brawls, if that even makes sense. I'm not a fan of just, you know, dudes just out there just throwing bombs the entire fight. Baranchik.
There you go. Perfect.
Oh, okay. Hey, look at that. I appreciate you, D-Style. But just, you know, I mean, multiple huge shots, knockdowns. A dude blew out his ACL. It was scary at the end, obviously. But yeah, I would say that's a fight too that a friend texted me like 5 seconds before it started. He's like, "Yo, you need to watch this fight." I was like, "All right." I mean, I'm home, obviously. I mean, it's COVID. So, man, I turned it on. Didn't move, didn't text. I didn't do anything. Like, I mean, I was all in on that fight. So, man, I would say, man, I was fight of the year that I saw as
All right. Let's get Joe Habib's perspective. Do you agree with that, or do you have a different fight, Beeb?
I think it's impossible to disagree with that because that fight was phenomenal. And it's so ironic that Hale said that he likes technical brawls, because I remember Eric and I, when we were talking about this fight the day after, and you know, a lot of people tend to love those Mickey Ward, Arturo Gatti type fights, and no disrespect to them, but you could see the difference when you saw Baranchik and Cepeda fight, because the way they were setting up those power shots, they were very methodical in the way they did it. They were very skillful in the way they did it. And that's no offense to Gotti or Ward, but you could just tell that they were fighting on primal instincts. These guys were still thinking their way throughout the fight amidst all of the violence. And that's something that made the fight better, in my opinion. So I second that with what Scott Hale just said. And that's something, and for you to say that means you're really not a casual fan, because you could appreciate, the aspect of the boxing, not just you could say that wasn't just a brawl. That was two guys who were just sharpshooters, who knew how to place their shots properly and had good punch selection and just knew how to fight in general. It wasn't like these guys were, swinging, pulling their arm back from left field and throwing wide shots. These guys were snipers, and for you to be able to see that makes you far from a casual fan, in my opinion. But I just think this fight was a phenomenal fight. I don't see how
William Boxing, I appreciate the support, man. I forgot to shout you out. I appreciate that very, very much, man. Shoeshine Boxing. If I was just like Gotti Ward in terms of excitement, I do agree with that. In terms of excitement, I'm going to ask you a follow-up in a little bit, B, but let me go around first. Milcar, what's your fight of the year? Do you agree, or do you have another fight?
I think we've got to go with fighter of the year. I think it's going to be unanimous because it was just that good. But I think that because it's unanimous, I just want to throw a couple other fights out there that I thought were really good.
Sure.
And that was the El Gallo Estrada fight against Chocolatito. All right.
Yeah.
I thought that was
El Gallo against Cuadras, right?
Sorry, Cuadras. Sorry about
that. The rematch is coming up.
Yeah, the rematch is coming up. Yeah, and honestly, just to kind of go off what you were saying earlier, D-Style, I will give ESPN a lot of credit for this one. The Nakatani Verdejo fight, I thought was excellent. I thought that was an excellent fight. So I agree with everyone said. I don't really have anything more to add about what was said about the fight of the year, but I just wanted to make mention to those two fights because I thought they were really, really good fights.
Okay. Raw Boxing.
I'm gonna roll with fight of the year. I'm gonna roll with the year because when it comes to fighter of the year, you can already see that we got two of them in there, and I it's kind of like fight of the year is more pleasing to me, and in my opinion, just based on the way things happen, it has to be Lopez Lomachenko. The quality of the fight being aired for free. And you mentioned something real important in the past topic that coincidentally goes hand in hand with this topic, is the amount of people that were sitting down and watching that fight for free. How long boxing was on TV for free. And this is a conversation I had on my show a few weeks ago, is if promoters were to take a look back in boxing way before pay-per-view even existed, right? You have examples of success. I'm going to use Thriller in Manila as an example, but okay, Thriller in Manila, no pay-per-view, had over 1 billion views, over 100 million in closed circuit.
Damn.
Now, that's too much, right? Let's just say that today you put a mega fight, right? And with all the amounts of commercials that are being aired, the amounts of companies that are paying top dollars to put their little logos on the ring, the amounts of all that money being moved around, if you can bring not a billion, not even 100 million, if you can put 10 million people in front of the TV to watch that fight, man, TV, pay-per-view is a thing of the past, really, if you think about it. So because of the way that fight did, because of the expectation, because let's be real, you have people putting 10 stacks against Lopez.
Yeah.
And they lost it. Okay? You had people putting 10 stacks and they lost it. A kid that was not expected to win this fight because on the Tyson Fury, on the Tyson Fury and your boy Wilder, we already knew what was finna happen. Dude was either gonna get knocked out or outboxed. That's it, right?
Yep.
So, but on the Teofimo, Lomachenko, everybody except me. G Funk will tell you there. He came up to my live and he asked me, I said, I like Teofimo on this one. And the receipts there, the electronic receipts there. Something, which by the way, me and Emil Carr are the only two disagreeing with y'all when it comes to the Luke Campbell and Brian and Ryan Garcia. I just want to get that on the air so that when we talk about it.
Actually, funny enough, bro. The Beam 2 is on this team.
But to me, fight of the year is going to be that's the most important part. And to me, that's Lomachenko versus Teofimo Lopez, the takeover, the man who took over, the man who all of a sudden is not afraid to take over, but somehow is afraid of a fighter that can't even knock a washed a fighter out. And so it is what it is.
Hey, check it out. G Funky, talk to us. What is the fight of the year in your opinion?
Man, there was, for the year being so messed up and the pandemic putting everything on hold, we got quite a few good fights, even with the long break that we had.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, Cepeda Baranchik, that's a fight right there that, I don't think I'll ever see another fight like that in my lifetime, man. Like, guys going down multiple times in every single round and then ending in a dramatic knockout. I mean, Cepeda landed that straight left on Baranchik, and the dude melted like butter. I mean, he just flopped over and everything. Whew. That was an amazing fight, man. I mean, I was texting people that somebody uploaded that thing on YouTube about 10 minutes after it was over. As soon as I saw it, I started sending it out to people because, it was on ESPN Plus. So not a lot of casuals able to see that. So I'm sending that thing out. And I mean, people were texting me back and they were like, wow, that was incredible. I never seen a fight like that in a long time. I said, well, you probably never see another fight like that again in your life. Like it was just crazy. Cepeda definitely put himself as a major player at 140 pounds with that performance. In my opinion, he already was a guy who should have been considered up there because he did have a good fight with Jose Ramirez. And, a lot of people felt Cepeda won that fight. So he's definitely a guy who you should be looking at now at 140. But this fight right here showed that this guy has a lot of heart, has a lot of grit. He has power in that left hand. As where before it was like, he can box, he's a southpaw, a little tricky. But now we know if he needs to just sit down on his punches and knock you smooth out, we know he can do it now. We know he can get up off the canvas, So this was a hell of a fight. And that's, to me, hands down, the fight of the year.
Let me tell you guys something. Not only is this the fight of the year, in a normal year, the Cuadras Estrada fight's the fight of the year in any normal year. You know what I mean? This fight's one of the best fights I've ever seen, period. Like it's not like it's like unfair for any other fight. That's how good this fight was, right?
Is that the one with the 8 knockdowns?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cepeda kept getting back up. Cepeda knocked him down, and then he would get hurt. And not only that, like it was kind of like a crossroads fight in a way. And because look, Bradchick's the guy that Josh Taylor had beat. Cepeda's the guy that Jose Ramirez has beat. These are the two top guys at 140, right? So it's kind of like, even though you can't really do this in boxing, but it's kind of like a good win for Ramirez. You know what I mean? Like the guy I beat the guy you beat. You know what I mean? So I think it was a pretty, and it also shows that, and I understand I'm not doing triangle theory, but it's a message to the Josh Taylor fans out there. Maybe Josh Taylor's resume isn't that much better, or maybe better at all, than Jose Ramirez's resume, right? Because Cepeda wasn't in that tournament, all right? But Baranchik was guess what? Cepeda beat Baranchik. So he was fighting guys at that level. You just didn't know it, right? Just because he gave Ramirez a tough fight doesn't mean he's not a good fighter, right? So it's important to note that. Plus, the fight itself was just magic. And I think the biggest crime that could have happened was that this fight was locked away on ESPN Plus. Imagine if this was on ESPN. Imagine if this was on the undercard of Teofimo Lopez versus Lomachenko.
Oh my God,
dude, that would have been amazing. Because these type of fights right here make boxing fans. People watch shit like this and say, yo, I want to be a boxing fan. You know what I mean? Hey, shout out to Black and Brown, man. Hey, shout out to you, bro. How are you doing? You know? Sonteo Mira, yes, money move, but even Chargers fans, okay, they're talking about the Chargers over there. You know what I mean? But it's all good. The Penguin, I don't think there's much between the top 4 at 140. All right, the Penguin, I hear you. We're going to move to this one. The knockout. The knockout of the year. Chief, I want to start with you. Talk to us. What's the knockout of the year?
Oh, can I name my top 3, or do you just want my number 1?
Actually, I'm going to go back to you, Chief Funky, but really quick. Beeb, I forgot. Teddy Atlas said that Barancik Cepeda was just a rock'em sock'em type of fight. Do you have anything to say about that, Beeb?
FTP.
Teddy Atlas is one of the worst analysts of all
any
time.
sport.
He's piece trash. And he's such a hypocrite because he had Mickey Ward on and he was sitting there kissing Mickey Ward's ass. Oh, those fights were great with you and God.
No, he wasn't trashing the fight. He just said it was a rock'em sock'em type of fight, but we know what they mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a fraud.
But
Teddy
go ahead,
Atlas
Chief
is a
Funky.
fraud.
Go ahead. Knockout of the year.
Him and Kevin Rideout. What else is he?
This is tough. This is a tough pick for me because there was some good knockouts this year. Man, I want to. Can I do my top 3, or do you just want the number 1?
It's your time, bro. So what do you want? Go ahead.
All right, so I'm just gonna do my top 3 because it was really hard to pick out of these 3. But my number 3 knockout of the year, number 3 is Tank Davis over Santa Cruz. Beautiful left uppercut, put him right to sleep. You don't get it any cleaner than that. That was just a clean shot. He goes out, and what was a really good fight up to that point. Santa Cruz was doing some good things in there, and so was Tank. But that's my number 3. Number 2 was kind of an unexpected knockout. I did pick this fighter to win the fight, not by knockout, but to win, and that is Povetkin over White. Again, another left uppercut puts a guy to sleep out of nowhere. Povetkin was just down twice the round before that. Looked like he was getting ready to be taken out. Looked like he was, starting to look his age. And then, boom, that left uppercut lands, and it was good night for Dillian White. I didn't know they were having a buried alive match in Eddie Hearn's backyard, but they did, The only thing that was missing was The Undertaker and Mankind. But for me,
pro wrestling, Scott doesn't like pro wrestling. Go ahead.
But yeah, for me, knockout of the year, I have to go with Cepeda knocking out Barancik the way that it happened after all those knockdowns. And that's the funny thing is he just got knocked down. He just got hit with a shot, fell against the ropes. The ropes were the only thing holding him up. So the referee has to rule that a knockdown. He comes right back, lands a straight left hand, and he is out of there after a brutal 5 rounds. And I got to go with that, man. But it was tough picking between those 3. All 3 of those could be interchangeable, but if I have to pick one, that's the one I have to pick.
Okay. Joe Habib, what's your knockout of the year, bro?
Alexander Povetkin over Dillian White. That was beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Nice to be able to do that back.
Let me ask you this. Did you see it coming when you were watching the fight, or were you surprised when it happened, babe?
I was more surprised than I've ever been in my life. I was more surprised than on my first Christmas morning when I got what I wanted when I was like 2 years old. Got that special toy that I wanted, and I didn't really think I was going to get it. And then I got it, and I was like, wow. That's how surprised it was when Povetkin did that to Dillian White. I was shocked.
All right.
did not see it coming.
Okay. Raw boxing. Talk to us. What's your knockout of the year, man?
My knockout of the year has to definitely be Santa Cruz versus Tank David, just because of the simple fact that Santa Cruz is always known to be tough. He might have not been a power puncher, but the kid would sit there and exchange with you, and I don't even think I've ever seen him extremely hurt in a fight. And then the fight versus Tank David, he had Tank fans there sweating bullets for about 4 or 5 rounds, and then Tank David comes, times that uppercut, and you see a man that had never been knocked out, completely knocked out. But after that, I have to say, the Dillian White is also my knockout of the year, and Berlanga knockouts. No, I'm just playing.
There we go. All right, Amilcar, talk to us, man. What's your knockout of the year, bro?
My knockout of the year is the Povetkin knockout of Dillian White. And I was watching the fight, and at first view, it did come out of nowhere, and it totally shocked me. But on second view, you could really see that he set him up for that shot. You could see that he had him thinking that he was going to throw the hook, and then in mid throwing of the punch, he kind of shifted it to an uppercut and just totally knocked him out. He was out cold, and there's always something special. I'm gonna sound like a sadist here, but there's always something special when you see a heavyweight knocked out like that. It's just something that's kind of just unmatched. Dillian White is like 6'4", 260 whatever pounds he is. He's a big guy, and to see him just timber, like go all the way back like that, flat, it just creates some kind of like primal reaction amongst the boxing fans. I don't want to take anything away from the other knockouts that are mentioned, but when you see the big boys knocking each other out like that, it's next level. And the way he threw the shot obviously was special as well, because he fooled him, and he actually come back from being knocked down previously to that too, which added to kind of the drama of it.
Talk to us, Scott. What's the knockout of the year in your opinion?
I'm gonna go with Davis as well. I just like to always set it up, and it was just funny because you could see him. He'd kind of missed that punch maybe like 2 rounds earlier. He was a little bit short on it, and I just think as the fight went on, Santa Cruz wasn't really able to do it. I mean, he was landing a lot, but I mean, we all know man his MO, right? He throws a bazillion punches, but like he doesn't have a lot of power. And I just think at that point, Tank knew that he wasn't going to hurt him, so he threw the same punch that he had thrown a little bit earlier. Like I said, maybe it's 2 rounds earlier, but the timing on it, the setup, like he literally took 2 glancing shots on purpose. You know what I mean? And it was perfect. And then Zepeda fight for me was number 2. It reminded me of one of my favorite knockouts. Remember when Johnny Gonzalez knocked out Abner and he fell straight back on his knee? And that's what I thought of like right away, like because he hit him, and like to watch his leg bend like that, it's like you're just so out that you have no equilibrium at all to even like turn over. He just fell straight back, and to see his knee do that. So, I mean, obviously, that was fight of the year, and I would say that would be my runner-up knockout of the year as well.
I got to tell you, man, a very underrated one was Ryan Garcia against Fonseca. It was a beautiful
and a jab, right? Basically. That
was a hook, but, I mean, he took him out. Like that, his switch went off. He was on the ground like this. So
did you say check hook?
But I'll say this: it may not be a high-profile fight, which is why I'm not going to put it number 1. But I just wanted to give it an honorable mention. That's all. You know what I mean? But I do got to say that I got to go with Tank Davis against Leo Santa Cruz because it had almost the same effect to me anyway. Like the Povetkin White one. The only difference is I seen White down from an uppercut from Anthony Joshua before. You know what I mean? So like I seen that before. The fact that he put out the switch on an iron chinned, Leo Santa Cruz just puts it up there for me. It just does. That knockout was something else. You know what I mean? And so I'm going to give it a Tank Davis over Leo Santa Cruz personally. Before we move on to the next one, anybody have any other knockouts you could think of?
Charlo Rosario with the body shot.
Yeah, that was
The jab body, actually.
Yeah, it's kind of an unexpected thing. Yeah,
like he, he got the Exorcist out of him and shit. You know what I mean? So it was all good after that, but that was odd how he fell, and but that was good. That was good. All right. And Shaq can let us know about any other knockouts. Now, people are saying they don't jump the gun. There's that Japanese fight on New Year's Eve, but let me tell you something. This is 100%. Nothing's going to beat Cepeda Branchik, okay? It ain't going to happen. But I will retract my fight of the year if it is a fight, but I don't think anybody will do a retraction. Sorry. All right?
Jihad just says Nate Robinson.
Oh yeah. Hey,
let's ask the basketball guy.
At a point.
What's going on with Nate Robinson? What happened? Did he represent basketball to the best of his abilities?
First and foremost, everyone knows hoopers cannot fight. I mean, that isn't just like fighters cannot hoop, right?
What about Shaq versus De La Hoya?
Oh,
Shaq got knocked down by Mosley, bro.
Yeah, by Mosley. I mean, the thing that's crazy is it shows you Nate. I mean, people just underestimate a six-pack, tattoos. Like, I didn't even hear this Jake Paul dude ever, right? So after the fight, I actually went on his social media and I'm watching him train. And so there was, let me see what Nate was doing. Nate wasn't doing shit. Like, he just honestly thought, I'm from the hood, I have tats, I'm gonna walk in the ring and beat. I'm like, dude, and I realize it's corny to say, but like anyone that's ever even sparred, right, just realizes how difficult it is. Like a 3-minute round, even though I think those rounds are only 2 minutes, right? But that's an eternity to be in the ring, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so to me, it shows Nate embarrassed the hell out of himself. But even experienced fighters don't know how to fight hurt until they've been hurt, right? So as soon as he got hurt, I was like, oh my God, he's going to kill Nate. You know what I mean? Because I was like, he doesn't have any experience as a fighter, but let alone being stunned. Oh my God. And then obviously we saw what happened. He literally sprinted into a right hand, like dead runs Forrest Gump into a right hand. I was like, my man, what are you doing? Like,
what about when Chris Childs hit Kobe with the two-piece, man?
Hey, and you know what? Kobe ate him though. He was like, okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but those landed clean for an NBA game. Like, those are probably two of the cleanest punches I've seen in an NBA fight.
Look at it like this, right? The point guards can typically fight. Because again, you're talking 5'11" to 6'2", right? Like they've probably been in some fights growing up. Who the hell in high school fought Shaq and Alonzo Mourning? You know what I mean? Like, of all the people to fight, I'm not going to pick the 6'8" kid. Even if he's a pussy, you're still not going to fight him. You know what I mean? You got to jump off a desk to hit his ass. So that's how I look at it. Like, that's probably the number one reason why. And basketball fights get broken up so fast.
Yeah, but wait. Nate's like 5'9". What's his excuse?
No, but that's my point is he actually fought. I mean, look, dude, I'm not going to act like Jake Paul got hands. What I'm saying is he at least has been in a boxing gym. Like you can tell that much. He was pivoting on his feet. He was inviting Nate in. Like, dude, literally after Nate got hurt the first time and Snoop singing, I was like, dude, this is going to be ugly. And literally he comes off the rope. He's like, I'm fine. And just run. I was like, what the fuck is he? Like, he was trying to smother him, I guess. I was like, dude, like, yeah, but it is what it is, man.
Yeah, let me tell you something, man. You guys can find it. It's on archive. I said, I don't know who the hell's going to win. How am I supposed to know? G Funky said, oh, no, Nate's the real athlete. He's going to go show this kid, this YouTuber, what it's all about. You know what I mean? Well,
he is an athlete. But I mean,
Yeah.
dude, one of my
That doesn't
favorite
win fights,
fighters
though.
ever, right? I mean, James
People
Tony
who
didn't train for about a decade straight, but it didn't matter because he knew how to fight. It's like
So, hey,
Nathan premier shape.
People who play golf are athletes too. They ain't knocking anybody out.
Run
Hey.
PMC. How could I forget that, man? When Doug Christie hit Rick Fox with an uppercut, clean uppercut too.
Clean.
Clean.
He had his
Rick
curls
Fox-
waving.
Rick Fox had to have been the worst fighter of all time in the NBA. He used to get slapped around all the time, bro.
what about Jordan? If he put his mind to it, could he fight?
Hell no.
No.
No, he's a
Did you see
bully.
him and Reggie Miller that time? They went nose to
No,
nose,
didn't
and
he punch somebody?
he looked like he
punched
raked his
somebody in
eyes. Like
Jordan only,
These
Jordan
Okay,
only sucker.
wait,
He
wait,
only
wait.
sucker
I'm
punched.
talking to a Pistons fan, and that's why you don't
Well,
want to
yeah, okay, yeah.
He only
First
sucker
and foremost,
punched.
I'm a Bad Boys fan, so you know that. But no, D-Style. Here's the thing: 99.9% of these hoopers, and as a former hooper, they started playing basketball because they got hit hard in football.
Oh,
So
man.
if you take that, now imagine getting hit in the face. Like, nah.
Jordan
There's
used
like
to
three
sucker
dudes in
punch.
the league that can
Jordan,
fight.
Jordan used to sucker punch people in practice. He's not tough.
Hey.
The Morris twins tried to fight the football team at Kansas. Now those
Jordan-
dudes can probably fight.
Jordan would have touched gloves when they and then punch and sucker punch him. You know what I mean?
That's what
He
he
would
would've-
have
that's
let
what he would've
the fight
done.
start. You know what I mean?
That's what he
Like
would've
that's a bah. So
Jordan would have
I
had Oakley fight Nate.
Yeah.
Charles Oakley. That's a real tough guy there too, man.
There you go.
All right. And let's go with prospect of the year. Let's go back to you, Will. Who's the prospect of the year, in your opinion, in the sport of boxing? What do you think, Hale?
Oh, me? Oh, my bad. I mean, even though I'm not Puerto Rican, but every time I go to New York, people think I am Puerto Rican. I'm going to go with Berlanga. I've only seen him fight 4 times, and combined, he's probably fought 4 minutes. And I know we've all seen this before, right? Dude walks in the ring, smacks the hell out of someone, they fall over, and then the first time he fights someone who actually, fights back or, moves a little bit, they struggle. But man, his hands are heavy as shit. And it's like when you just watch certain people punch, like, I mean, as a kid watching like George Foreman, I was like, holy shit. Again, I'm not comparing him to George Foreman, but just like his hands just look super heavy. So
Heavy.
I would say he to me is the most exciting prospect right now.
All right, fair enough. Joe Habib, talk to us. Who's the prospect of the year 2020?
Danir Yuslanov, the welterweight that knocked out Julius Ndongo in 2 rounds.
Mhm.
Okay. Julius Ndongo's only been knocked out by elite fighters like Regis Prograis and the great Terrence Crawford. And this young guy with 10 pro fights was able to do it. He had 9 pro fights at the time. So for his 9th pro fight, he's taken on Julius Ndongo, former unified 40-pound champion. And he knocks him out in 2 rounds. That's very impressive.
All right. Okay. Fair enough. Chief Funky, who's the prospect of the year in your opinion?
I got a few here that I want to mention before I give my actual pick for prospect of the year. But a couple of guys who are sort of local to where I'm at in Northern California. We'll give a shout out to Gabe Flores from Stockton, who fought a couple times on ESPN. Looked pretty good there. Got a couple wins. And also want to give some love to a guy who came on our show. We did an interview with him. And that's Ruben Villa, who fought Navarrete, who came up short in that fight. I mean, didn't look like he was going to make it to the 12th round, man. He went down early a couple times, but he's able to get up and, finish the fight. I thought the fight was actually pretty close, man. I actually had it 6 rounds apiece, but Navarrete gets the nod due to the knockdowns. So, tough one there for him, but I'm sure he'll bounce back because I think he's pretty good. Also, I got to give a shout out to Xavier Martinez, who is from Sacramento, my hometown. And you know, he had a hell of a fight as well, where he got dropped twice in that fight, was able to get up and box his way to a victory in that fight. Showed a lot of heart, but I gotta say, man, it's got to be Berlanga, man. He's making a lot of noise. He's getting all the knockouts, and he's getting a lot of attention, and that comes with the territory, man. When you're knocking everybody out, people are going to get excited about you. You know, I do look forward to seeing him step up in competition in 2021, and I want to see how he does against some veterans or something like that this year. But I got to go Berlanga for sure.
All right. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Talk to us, Amilcar. Who is the prospect of the year, in your opinion?
What's funny, you got G Funky back there with the guitars up on his wall, the 3 guitars. I'm gonna have to go like this a little bit. You know what I mean?
He's got
And
the
a bunch of
spirit
vinyl,
Jimi
too.
Hendrix.
With my Caribbean roots here, we're going with Elvis Rodriguez.
That's a good one too. Yeah.
That's my prospect of the year. I've been impressed by Berlanga, but I'm not seeing the skills from Berlanga that I'm seeing from Elvis. Elvis is showing power and he's showing skills. I haven't really seen enough of Berlanga, unfortunately, in terms of his skills. We see his power, and that's fine. But the things he's doing in the ring, you cannot really see him doing above the level that he's currently fighting at, and that's an open question for me. How that power will carry over in terms of getting him out of tough fights. That's an open question. I don't disagree with Joe's pick. I think it's a good pick. My only thing is, it's always tough for me with these Central Asian guys who've got like 300 amateur fights and who are 29 years old to kind of call them prospects. It's kind of not. This is just my bias here from this side of the world. And like when I'm thinking of a prospect, I'm thinking usually of someone within the age range of like 15 if you're in Mexico, but let's say 18 to like 24, 25.
25 tops.
Yeah, 25 tops. Once you're starting to get close to 30, it's tough for me to start calling you a prospect, especially once you already have like 350, 400 amateur fights or whatever the case is. That's my only disagreement with that pick. I think it was a good pick, though, other than that.
You know what it's like? It's like when you get that like 35, 40-year-old that decides, you know what? I finally am going to go to college. I'm going to get my 4-year degree.
I was about to say that.
The same thing, right? Age ain't nothing but a number, baby.
Right. So you're 30, you're 29 years old, and you go back to college. You win Player of the Year.
Exactly.
And you turn pro.
You're like a red shirt. You're redshirted. Like you did 1 year of college. You redshirted, and you went back like when you were like 30.
Hey, it's like Forrest Whitaker in Fast Times, right? I mean, dude's like a 35-year-old linebacker. Come on.
Hey, there you go.
Dominant.
Rodney Dangerfield back to school.
Hey,
Or Billy Madison playing dodgeball.
Let's get Raw TV on here, guys. Raw TV, talk to us. In your opinion, who is the prospect of the year?
I have to go with the Puerto Rican dude, Berlanga. Look, it's a fair assessment with what the guys are saying. We haven't seen enough of him, right? Like I said the other day, all credit to him because we haven't seen enough of him. Because when you got your steak in front of you, your job is to eat it. And that's what he's been doing. He's been cutting it and eating them, right? And at the end of the day, regardless of what a prospect is showing you, at the end of the day, it's just that. He's a prospect. Whether he's shown you a lot or not, he's still susceptible to not succeed at all. And so I gotta stick with Berlanga. I like the guy that Habib picked, but I also, and it's gonna sound a little biased, I don't know if I should declare Morel Jr. a prospect, being that he's an interim champion. But I mean, he's only got 4 professional fights, and he's 22 years of age. So I don't know. Maybe I am being biased, but I like him too. I like what I'm seeing, even though that the competition obviously it's not. People already want to. Oh, he's an interim. He should be fighting top level competition. Well, whatever, But at the end of the day, to me, he's still a prospect with or without that belt. It's just 4 fights.
I agree. Like, I'm very excited about him too. And this is my bias. Like, most of these Caribbean fighters, like, I do have a certain bit of bias towards them. But once you start carrying around the belt and the PBC's putting that gold C beside your name and
Protection
you
is
call
over.
yourself a champion, it's tough for me to call you a prospect anymore. Although he absolutely is a prospect. He's 4-0, but I just don't understand even why he has a title belt. Actually, while I was doing my cast earlier, I had to like look it up, and he beat some guy named Lennox Allen for an interim title in his third fight.
I think he was like 22-0.
It's I don't know.
Here's what I'll say, man. I'm listening to Berlanga. He's exciting, right? He's doing videos dancing with Snoop Dogg, right? He's bragging about how he pays like $250 for haircuts. Somebody's ripping you off, bro. That's all I gotta tell you right now. Like somebody's ripping you. Like there's some barbers that for $50, bro, like they'll do a pretty good job of your hair. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? But here's what I'll say. All right. Who's he fighting though, bro? He fought my 7-Eleven clerk the other day. You know what I mean? That's who he's knocking out. You know what I mean?
Hey.
That one guy, like, you know, it's like
7-Eleven.
Hey, they got to defend themselves a little bit.
The Amazon driver,
right?
He twisted the Amazon driver.
But he wasn't allowed to use the mop that they usually use. You know what I mean? To defend themselves at the 7-Eleven. All right, he didn't have the squeegee and shit to throw at Berlanga.
The shit out of my mailman
and
yesterday.
Then he's going from the 7-Eleven dude, okay, to the greeter at Walmart. Like, nah, bro, it's about time you start fighting some real competition because. Right, the dude that made my hamburger Whataburger isn't the guy you should be fighting, bro. Okay, and I understand that my mechanic was a little tougher, but that's still not the dude you should be fighting. Okay, and all bullshit aside, I need to see Berlanga with somebody with a damn pulse. That last dude he fought looked scared when he walked in there. He's exciting, absolutely. Are they trying to prolong it enough so he could break that, first round knockout, consecutive record? Yes, they are. The prospect of the year is Virgil Ortiz. Why? Because I still consider him a prospect, and he's got the best future out of all these dudes, okay? And yes, even Boots Ennis.
He's another one carrying around the belt, bro.
Didn't Virgil Ortiz win it last year? Didn't Virgil Ortiz win it last year? He won it last year, Virgil Ortiz.
Back to back. He's going to go back to back.
He can't be back-to-back rookie of the year.
Back to back.
You can only be a prospect one time.
Did he fail?
Did
he fail?
Limitation.
What is he, prospect emeritus? He's prospect emeritus.
Prospect in perpetuity.
There's no limit. You could be a prospect for 2 years.
Okay. Why don't we name him contender of the year then? Just to squad.
How's that?
That's right.
Because it's
like that.
But I just let me tell you something. In 2022 or 2023, Virgil Ortiz, Boots Ennis, bring it on, because those two guys are the two biggest prospects this year. Period. They got the brightest future of all these dudes. Okay.
D-Style. At what point does someone graduate from being a prospect?
When they put a belt on him.
He says they do. That's it is.
I think he's above a prospect.
His own criteria.
When he fights for a world championship. Because let's talk about it a little bit, guys. A prospect, to me, it's not an age thing, because I know there's some ageism going on over here with a milk car. You know what I mean? Like, if you're too old, you disqualified. You know what I mean? I don't know about that.
Hey,
you know what I mean?
he's an ageist.
That's
you're being too much of an ageist. You're too old. You don't count.
That's,
like, you know,
that's discrimination.
It's somebody that you look at that's not in the mix yet with the top competition in their weight class, right?
He's in the top 10.
But that's going to be there eventually, right?
The guy's ranked.
But he's not in the mix, man. Okay, is he a top 10 welterweight right now? If you made a top 10 list, he would be on your list?
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Ortiz, you'd be crazy not to put Ortiz as a top 10. Even
talent-wise, he'll beat the fuck out of Keith Thurman right now, but I can't rank him above Keith Thurman.
The WBA is giving him a belt. He's their like number 2 contender right now. I mean, he's a contender.
Back to back. Enough of the hate.
D-Style.
Back.
D-Style. I'm casual.
Okay,
and I
so
didn't know that.
Teofimo Lopez is still a prospect. He's only got 15.
No, Teofimo Lopez is already he stopped being a prospect. He was the prospect of the year 2 years ago, right before he knocked out Comey.
He's scared of David Henry.
Dude, 2016, D-Style had Bernard Hopkins as prospect of the year. Come on, D-Style. I'm casual and I even know this shit. But hey, real fast, to Raw Boxing's point, I understand who you fight is everything. But dude, would you rather see a prospect, D-Style, struggle with some of these Uber drivers, or would you rather see them put basically knock them out of the ring, Paul Williams style? So to me, I understand he hasn't fought anybody, but he's also the absolute shit out of
people. To win prospect of the year, in my opinion, you should at least be fighting former world champions or guys that are still kind of good, but they're past it. In my opinion, to be a prospect, I don't know about the year. I don't know about that.
I mean, I gotta respect your point of view on that one, but I gotta tell you something. You don't necessarily have to fight a ex-champion of the world or a washed-out fighter to become a prospect of the year. You gotta be doing exactly what Berlanga is doing. To what Berlanga is doing, regardless whether he has shown us or not. I promise you, Berlanga has some boxing skills, because you don't just go from an amateur. And if you go look at Berlanga's amateur, aside from the videos we've seen, because guess what? Even the good boys, even the good legendary fighters have been out as an amateur. You have to see Berlanga as an amateur to know he has the skills, but all credit to him, because none of his opponents have forced him to pull those skills out of the bag. And to close about his $250 haircut, the only thing I got to say about that $250 haircut is
cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Let's roll.
First of all, who the hell pays $250 for a haircut? Like that's ridiculous. But look, he just finished fighting a guy that's ranked 104th in the world according to Boxer guy. He's still fighting prospect. That level of guys that prospects fights. Virgil Ortiz is still a prospect, okay? He's not fighting top 10 dudes. Who's the top 10 dude he fought?
Okay.
Name me one top 10 dude he fought, and I'll shut up.
D-Style, let me ask you this. When Victor Ortiz fought Maidana, right?
Yeah.
Was he fighting a former world champion? Was he fighting a known guy? No, he got in the ring with someone that was tough as hell. He was up early, got cocky, and then he got punished. Like, to me, if Victor Ortiz finishes Maidana with that first knockdown, you would have said he fought a cab driver, right?
Me?
I mean,
I knew that Marcos Maidana was going to be like, I saw the future. I said, man, this guy's going to be Broner.
When did you know that? When did you know that, D-Style?
Here's what I'll say. I'll admit that I didn't know who Maidana was, but once he got back up,
nobody
I knew
did.
It was real.
No, right. So,
and I know that a lot of these American cats are pretty tough dudes. I know that.
Right. So I'm just using that example to say, just because no one's getting back up, it doesn't mean that they all are absolute garbage fighters. That's all I'm saying.
And the last guy,
what I didn't know about Maidana is that he had a close fight against Kotelnik, and many felt Maidana won that fight. And Kotelnik was somebody that was ranked up there. Berlanga's fighting dudes that literally just I paid a tap to the other day at Texas Roadhouse. He's not fighting like a ranked dude. He just isn't. I'm just telling you guys. Who has he fought?
Okay.
But real quick, Virgil is still a prospect. He fought Samuel Vargas, guys. And if you're fighting at Fantasy Springs, you're a prospect. I don't care what anybody says.
Whoa.
Springs.
Well,
Fantasy Springs.
Number one,
it's the prospect.
Those guys. Roy Jones was fighting sanitation workers as champ, and he was considered pound for pound. So
after playing a basketball game,
that was Eric Luca. I won't discredit him that badly.
I gotta say this, man. I know you mentioned the 7-Eleven guy, man. So Berlanga, he should be lucky that guy didn't have a can of Twisted Tea with him, and he might have got knocked out in the first round.
Right, there you go. Oh, I saw that video, by the way.
Stop eating at Whataburger, D-Style. Yeah. I know you're in Texas. Stop eating Whataburger.
Just to say my last piece on Berlanga, guys, and because a couple of them have said it, have talked about him. I don't think the kid is going down the right path when it comes to the the showboating and all the thing he's doing. He's $250 haircut. Let's be real here. He ain't breaking no mills in his fight.
He literally tweeted out, "I spent $250 on my haircut." What do you all you other boxers spend? How much you spend on a haircut? Like, dude, like
You're
Bill
stupid.
Gates will tell you, I spent $6 on my haircut. You know, like,
Yeah.
what does that even mean, dude? You know, but
Stupid.
I want to ask Hale though, what's the
Seriously.
most you've ever paid a barber for a haircut?
Well, I go every Friday. When I was young and in the streets in LA, I used to go every Tuesday and Friday. So Tuesday was typically a touch up. That would be $20. Friday would be 30. So I mean, I'm spending $50 a week. Look, that's outrageous to pay on a haircut. I mean, it
$250.
is what it is. I mean, that's dumb as hell.
Hey, no
That's
fade
some
that good, right?
crazy hammer shit, honestly.
Is it possible for a fade to be so good that you got to tip $250?
I paid $50 for a haircut one time. That was my first haircut after COVID when the barber shops first opened.
Yeah.
That guy had a lot of hair to cut, man. So I gave him a huge tip.
If Rihanna was cutting my hair, maybe, but nah, dude. There's
In a
no
bikini
way
or
that I'm gonna
something?
tip someone $200. Come on, man. That's insane.
Hey
I
guys,
walked into a salon thinking that it was just like $30. And once I get the haircut and they treat me nice and wash me and everything,
Yeah.
and I'm pulling out my $20 bill because I'm getting ready to give her like a $10 tip, and that chick hit me with a $75 piece.
Woo.
I was like, "What?" She said, "Yeah, it's an organic based salon." I'm like, "But you just cut my hair. I didn't. There's nothing. Like, what do you mean organic based salon? You
My
know?
my hair's not organic.
Real, dude. There you go.
There's the guy.
watch this,
There's the
watch
guy
this.
Palanga
I'll
fighting.
that's the guy Berlanga knocked out, bro.
Watch this, though. Watch this.
No. He didn't knock out the
Here
white
comes.
dude, man. He knocked out the other guy.
Yeah, that's
come.
right. That's the dude that fought Berlanga, bro. You know what I mean? But he could Berlanga put in the stipulation he can't take that twisted tea bottle, you know, or can, right?
There it is.
Dude.
That's what happened. All right. For those listening on the podcast form, it's a just I guess guy gets smacked by guy with twisted tea.
Oh, there it is.
Google that, okay?
Hey, he got a chin though.
Yeah. Like, he's got a bit of chin than the Berlanga's opponents, that's for sure. You know what I mean?
Wow.
There you go, guys. I'll take that down
Touche.
before I get copyrighted. But hey, take this out, okay? Dumpster juice of the year.
Dumpster
You
juice.
fucking explain to people once again in gruesome detail what you mean by dumpster juice, right? And give us the dumpster juice of the year.
Well, again, we know what the purpose of a dumpster is. It's to hold waste, to hold garbage, stuff you don't want. Dumpster juice is that. It's not even that. It's not even the trash that you throw away. It's the juice that runs out of the bottom of the dumpster when it's hot and nasty, and it's just disgusting. That's what dumpster juice is, man. And
But the cats even go in there and take a shit, like all that shit, you know, just going
Yep.
down. Go ahead.
that's what it is, man. That's what dumpster juice is. It's not even trash. It's below trash, you know. And there's been a lot of dumpster juice this year. Don't get me wrong. There's been some dumpster juice fights, matchups, what have you. But I'd have to say my dumpster juice of the year by far, and it takes it. I mean, with flying colors. It's got to be Glovegate. Got to be Glovegate, man. It has to be. I mean, it's so out of hand. It's so ridiculous. And I just wish it would go away, man. I really do, but I just don't think it is. But that is my dumpster juice of the year.
Dumpster juice of the year. I mean, just picture like, you know, a lot of dumpsters, they're dropped so much by the trucks and they have that little hole, right? All that juice that comes out of that little, you know what I mean? That's what that is. Hey, Afro Rican, that's actually the color of the dumpster juice. It's like green and like, you know what I mean? It's just flow like a butterfly, sting like a tea. All right, man. Hey, thank you for that support. Scott Hale, what
Hey,
is
shout out to Afro Rican with one of the
Yeah.
greatest baseball players of all time.
Right. Clemente.
Yeah.
Yeah, total random. He actually ended up being a family friend. I never got to know him. I'm not that old, but he used to live with my great aunt and uncle in Pittsburgh. So totally random. But my dumpster juice and G-Funk, I'm stealing that, man. I like that. I always say soggy trash, but I think dumpster juice is even more disgusting, or like porta potty smell, whatever you want to use. I'm not going with, there it is. I'm not going with the moment. As a casual and now being brought all the way back into the sport, I just hate the attitude. I don't want to say like Floyd caused it, but like these guys so scared to take a loss. Is like my 3 favorite fighters, because I'm from the D, is Tommy Hitman Hearns. First fight I ever went to. He won a belt. It was insane. James.
Cuevas? You're not that old.
Huh?
Was it the Cuevas fight, or you're not that old?
Yeah. Where he punched dude so hard in the cheek that he blew out his knee. That was crazy. James Toney, and then the great Juan Manuel Marquez, right? So I was doing the math. I think combined they have 22 losses, and I don't give a shit, right? These are my favorite fighters. And it's like these guys are just so obsessed with not having a loss. Like the whole Crawford versus Spence isn't going to happen. It's just like, I get that Don King was crook and didn't pay his fighters, and it sucked that so many of those guys, died or left the game broke and had huge tax issues. But it's like, if we can find a happy median between Don King and like the pure capitalism of what it is now, where guys are just avoiding guys for years and years and years. I mean, dudes are arguing over the split, 60-40s, disrespect. Man, who gives a shit? Just fight. If you're better than the guy, fight him, whoop his ass, and take his belt. Like, I was never a huge Spinks fan, Corey Spinks, a huge Zab fan, but I loved when Zab went to St. Louis and got his damn belt. But you know what I mean? Like, that's what the sport is, right? You know what I mean? Like, he got screwed multiple times, but he didn't give a shit. I mean, it's just like, it's so crazy to me that these guys are so worried about losing. Like, to me, being scared of losing stops you from actually reaching your full potential, And as a fan, I know it's cliche and, it's corny to say, but you really do want to see the best fight the best. Can you imagine in any other sport, like the Super Bowl didn't happen because New England thought they should be the home team? Like, who gives a shit? You know what I'm saying? It's the Super Bowl. Like, this is the biggest moment. Like, the NBA Finals didn't happen because we're like, we want to be introduced first, I mean, it's so stupid to me. Like, so, just seeing things online, apparently Crawford was disappointed that he was offered 60-40. I was like, dude, if you're that much better than Spence, take the 60-40, whoop his ass, and then flip it around. When Floyd fought Oscar, he had to agree to all of Oscar's terms, right? Everyone, ring size, the gloves, everything. Guess what? Win the fight, and then you get to dictate. That's how the sport's always been. So, to me, that's my dumpster juice moment, is just so many people worried about their brand and worried about losing their man. Just go out there, challenge yourself, dare to be great.
Look, come up with a term. It's called flawless victory syndrome. Okay? Guys go out here, they have this belief that Floyd never got hit, so they see fighters get hit, and they complain about it. You know what I mean? That he won, but he gets hit though. Like, well, yeah, you're watching boxing. You know, like you know what I mean? When the Bulls won 6 championships, guess what? People dunked it on them, and then they made they lost games too. It's whatever. You know what I mean? So, and Floyd did get hit. Like the drunken master had him like on Queer Street and all that shit. You know what I mean? Chop Shot Corley was smacking him around, almost knocked him out. Maidana was hitting him. Like, he does get hit. Like when people say he never got hit, it's hyperbole. Like when we say he only got hit 20% of the time, guess what? He got hit 20% of the time, right? And not only that, right? Just taking that risk, going for the losses. We have a prime example of 2 twins right now, the Chardo twins. One of them has a loss, the other one doesn't. The one with the loss is a unified champion, 1 fight away from being undisputed in his division. The other one has never unified with a champion ever. Right. And it's like cloud chasing Canelo, like there's no tomorrow. Right. So we see, like, we could see it. Right. It's okay to lose. You could always either avenge the loss or somebody else going to beat them. And then you could beat them. And then it's almost like it's your racist. B-Hop did that shit all the time. Couldn't beat Shad Dawson. What happened? Pascal beats Dawson. Okay, well, I'll beat him. Boom, he beat him, and it's a wrap. Couldn't get the win over Taylor. Guess what? Pavlik beat Taylor. All right, I'll go beat that guy then. Boom, done. Right. So keep fighting. It's okay to lose, man. Let's get away from that. But so I like that one. Hale. Raw Boxing. What is your dumpster juice of the year?
My dumpster juice of the year is a combination of a few things, and mainly because it comes out of the same dumpster. Okay. And if it comes out of the same dumpster, then it must be included in my dumpster juice of the year. First, Glovegate. Second, egg weight gate. Third, Spike Watergate. Fourth, Mark Brilliant Gate. Fifth, Teofimo Lopez is scared of David Haney. And all that trash, all that maggot fight trash comes out of the same dumpster. And to that, I got to say, once again,
cocaine is a hell of a drug.
because here's the deal. At the end of the day, the dumpster that was spewing this trash, okay, had never even tasted a product like the one that was trying to sell. They had never wrapped a professional fighter's hands. They had never worked a corner. They had never even they never even have a professional glove in their hands with professional boxers hand wrap put on. They've never even been in an event such as the one, like Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, for them to say, yeah, the ref, the judges, and Mark Brilliant was what a coincidence, right? That the guy that's in there watching the gloves is the other trainer. What's his name?
Jay Diaz.
Right? But the one that gets fired.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
The other one.
Mark
Brilliant.
Brilliant.
Mark Brilliant got fired. Jay
Deontay
D's
Wilder's
nut stayed.
future.
Jay Diaz didn't spike his water, bro.
But watch this. If there was any question to be asked about this whole egg weight thing is, why aren't people talking about, one, the fact that a lot of people thought that no, it wasn't no spike thing. That little thing he dropped, it was sniffing salt. Two, and why is nobody questioning the fact that Deontay Wilder, every knockout that he has is with the right hand? What do I mean by that? What kind of conspiracy am I trying to start here? None. Other than the fact that when you look at that right hand, it's the only hand out of both of his hands that is composed of metal inside. He's got metal in those hands. His hand is got a bunch of metal, right? Imagine if I was to run with the metal in the hand gate. How stupid would I sound? How stupid would I sound? So dumpster juice of the year for Raw Boxing TV, it has to be out of that same disgusting dumpster. Glove gate, Watergate, all kinds of gates.
Yeah.
Now,
I like it.
B, I'm going to you next. What is your dumpster juice of the year?
I never really took the whole Glovegate thing serious, and a lot of the people that were talking about the Glovegate thing, I didn't take them serious either because that's their MO. There's a lot of YouTubers on here that are clickbaiters, they're tribal people. They look for minions and they look for cult members that they could manipulate, and so I never really bought into all that. Never really took it serious. What's been bothering me not just this year, but these last couple of years is guys who you're supposed to take serious, the real boxing media, not this goofy new media on YouTube, this fictional friggin' group of people here on YouTube that supposedly are something that they're really not. But the guys that actually get paid and work for these major outlets and these major websites, all the clickbait fake news stuff. Like, for instance, one story this year, Lomachenko gave Teofimo Lopez money out of his purse just to make the fight happen. which was total bullshit because fighters don't pay other fighters unless it's in the contract where if a guy makes weight, he has to give up a certain percentage of his purse to the other fighter. That's different. No one fighter says, "Hey, I'm going to give," because the promoter pays the fighter, and the network pays the promoter. So you guys, I don't know if I know you know this because when I interviewed Bob Arum, I asked him the question, did that happen? And he goes, that's ridiculous. That didn't happen. ESPN gave both of them more money just to make the fight happen. And then you have guys like, I'll name drop. I don't give a shit. Mike Coppinger would come out and say things like sources say this is going to happen. So-and-so is going to fight so-and-so. And then the guy ends up fighting somebody else. Sources. And this whole thing about sources say, if you're going to use an anonymous source can be anybody. It can be the guy sweeping up the friggin' gym at the end of the night that the fighter trains at. It could be the guy holding the water bucket. It could be anybody. So that pisses me off more than anything when you have all the fake news and everyone's looking to grab a headline and everyone's looking to be first. So they either rush the story or they either put something out that they can't confirm with 100% certainty, and they base an article that they write and a headline that they put out there off of a rumor, and then other people regurgitate it. Someone said that to me the other day, like, "Oh, that was cool that Lomachenko actually gave up money out of his purse to Teofimo Lopez just so the fight could happen." And I already told this person several times, and I even played them the interview that I did with Bob Arum on YouTube. And for some reason, they're conditioned to listen to these mainstream media guys so much that even when you prove these mainstream media guys wrong and you show that they just put a story out there without doing the proper research, or they're just looking for a quick clickbait headline. But people still believe this stuff and they regurgitate it and they go in the forums and they say, and these rumors continue to be propagated and they're just never ending. So that pisses me off more than anything, that boxing media, the real boxing media, has really turned to shit in my opinion. I think they're horrible.
Thanks.
All right. Milk Car, talk to us. What is your?
I have two things. I think just for variety, I'll say a couple other things that haven't been said yet. Sure. Building off of what Joe just said about the mainstream or boxing media, I would throw in even the mainstream media that follows boxing. I mean, they just talk about stuff that gets me as an actual boxing head, like really, I would just say, I don't want to say mad, but just like annoyed. And the most recent thing was when ESPN was pushing this idea that Triple G has 21 successful title defenses. I mean, you got to start with when he won the title. And I'm sorry, when he won the title was when he beat Marco Antonio Rubio back in 2014. All right. After that, he made, I'm counting them out here on BoxRec, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 title defenses, and then had a draw with Saul Alvarez.
Oops.
All right. That's 6 title defenses straight. That's not 21. All right. And it was a draw. But let's say you want to give him that draw and count it as 7. Never heard of that before, but let's do it. All right. So that's his 7th. Then he has an 8th with Vanis Martirosyan, the great middleweight. All right. The great middleweight Vanis. All right. And then he loses his next fight. So even if I give him that draw, he's got 8 successful title defenses in a row. It's ridiculous. So that's the first thing. Second thing, I think of dumpster juice. I think of something that turned my stomach. All right. I've got a close family member. I can't say who because I don't want to out him. He's very close, close to immediate relative. Very close relationship with Jarrell Big Baby Miller. All right. And it was bad enough when I heard that Jarrell popped 3 times for PEDs. All right. For those of you who don't know, Jarrell Miller is actually of Central American and Caribbean descent. All right. He often talked about like bringing boxing to the countries that he represents. And after getting caught 3 times, all right, he signs with Top Rank. And this year, 2020, so this is why it's Dump the Juice 2020 the situation. Before his pro debut with a Top Rank, he pops again. I mean, how do you get caught 3 times, blow the Anthony Joshua fight in 2019, and now you come back in 2020, you're given a big opportunity. He actually got a sizable signing bonus, all right? They're paying out his situation with Dimitri Salita, all right? He's going to be earning good guarantees, and then he pops again for PEDs. So I just got to throw those 2 in there because it's something that wasn't previously said.
All right. Okay. Look, my dumpster juice of the year is without a shadow of a doubt Glovegate. And the reason it's a dumpster juice of the year is not just Glovegate itself. It brought out the worst in a lot of people. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's what it did. You know what I mean? And that's just the way it is. And it caused like so much, you know, it made something polarizing that just didn't need to be polarizing. You know what I mean? It made something controversial. It was manufactured outrage is what it was. But there are some other ones, though. There's a lot of things that happened this year. I mean, the title defense is a good one from Triple G. I think that was trash. Okay. For sure. But to be more specific, okay, just to pick one specific thing about Glovegate, to me, the worst was not accusing your opponent, your nemesis, of cheating, but accusing Mark Breland of cheating. That was the worst. With no proof, with no, like, oh, he's the one that handled my water is not proof. Okay? It's not proof at all, actually. That If anything, that shows us that nobody spiked it, right? And that's what I got to say about that. A humble guy like Mark Breland, who had no incentive to spike your water, who to this day I'll see on Facebook, you know, working with young kids, okay, and because that's what he does, and I thought that was definitely okay, the dumpster juice of the year, in my opinion. You know what I mean? But honorary mention, Vasyl Lomachenko, claiming that judges were paid off in bribe, and that's the only reason Teofimo Lopez beat him.
There's actually been a lot this year.
Wilder fever. Can I just add one thing?
Well, I mean, you know, sure, yeah.
Another thing that really got to me. I don't know about the rest of y'all. It's some of these channels that are, some of these same dumpsters that are spewing that kind of dumpster juice, somehow trying to sell to their hundreds of thousands of subscribers that the minute that Teofimo Lopez is now fighting Haney is because somehow there's got to be some sort of racism involved in that. And then when they tell us Latinos that we don't know we don't have any struggles in America, and that we don't have that, and that we have complexion for protection, because what that's doing is bringing a subject, mixing a subject. I guess creating a false dichotomy would be a great way to put it. I don't know. It has nothing to do. Our struggles as peoples, our skin colors, has nothing to do with the fact that there's negotiations that are not being met between Lopez and Teofimo. I mean, and David Haney. And then if it was just one channel talking about it, but these dumpsters have this connection. When one starts spewing this dumpster juice, the other one does as well. And it's like when you see two streams of water come together and form a thicker one, that's what these dumpsters are doing. All the juices are coming out of all these dumpsters and getting united together and creating a thick stream of dumpster juice, right?
I gotta get on and speak to one of these fools on one of these channels, because what you just said, if that's what people are saying, it's like ridiculous for so many reasons. Number one,
it's disgusting.
Most of the quote unquote Latinos that have immigrated to the United States have already come from places where they already experience hardship. So a lot of people were coming from slavery in those countries: Dominican, Cuba, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, anywhere where they have black people that are coming from slavery. Then you got the indigenous people that are coming from conquest.
Mm-hmm.
Not only do they experience the struggle in the lands where they come from, but then they come here, and I'm speaking to myself too, come here and then experience double problems, especially if they don't speak English as a first language. So it's
a lazy narrative.
Got to get on one of these channels and start schooling some of my
yeah, but let's not. Let's. I get it, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah,
I would like to add something to my dumpster.
We'll get to that when we get to that. But it's an award show. You know what I mean? Let's. You know, hey, Calix, how's it going?
I'm good.
No, you're good.
Look at Hell. Look at Hell rocking the bubble vest. It got down to like 50 degrees in the desert, so he had to rock the bubble vest. You look like Mace and Puffy.
hey man,
no, like
time in Scottsdale.
I just want to say, like, we're all good. We just got 20 minutes left, right? So we have some other stuff to get to. So, look, man, Calix, and I need these quick. So, what's your fight of the year?
Fight of the year was the Baranchik fight. There's no. We don't need to go into that any further. We all know that one.
Okay.
So Baranchik.
Network of the year, or what?
Network of the year? I don't. They all finished last. Tie for last. I don't know. The Zone. Let's just go with the Zone. ESPN did a pretty good job with some fights. I don't know. I don't know. Nobody did a great job.
Okay.
Nobody did a great job.
All right. Okay. Cool. All right. Cool. All right. Boxing event of the year.
Oh, that went to Fury and Wilder for sure. I mean, it depends on how you frame it though, because for them to put on a fight like. Yeah, but for them to put on a fight like Teofimo versus Lomachenko in the middle of what was going on, that was a pretty good job. So it depends on how you frame it. But as far as an event, I think we had to go with Fury versus Wilder this year.
Okay, cool.
Stealing my answers.
Cool. Okay, prospect of the year.
I was cheating. Yeah, I was listening earlier. Prospect of the year, I would go with Boots Ennis. But
it depends. It's like.
But look,
okay.
No, but look. I heard y'all's argument earlier as to what's a prospect. I'm confused to that too. It becomes grayer and grayer each year, it seems like, because these guys are taking forever to finally step up. I mean, are we considering Devin Haney a prospect? Because he still hasn't stepped up, to be honest. I mean, not to his fault. So, yeah. So, but what I'm saying is, at what point do you become a prospect to contender to champion? It's becoming grayer and grayer each year. All right, these guys have to step up quicker, but I would go with Boots Ennis. But I like your guy too.
Okay. All right. Okay, cool. Dumpster juice of the year for you.
Dumpster juice of the year. Is that like the worst fight or the worst narrative?
Worst trash of the year for you.
Trash, and we touched on it last year, was the whole glove gate situation, and then the not only the glove gate, because that almost passed for me as something we could controversy and conspiracy theory. But once it started to get to where his trainer was poisoning him in the ring during the fight, I was like, what is going on? What is that? Why would his trainer poison him? I don't understand that part of it. And it just started getting, the rabbit hole was getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And it became dumpster juice on top of dumpster juice on top of dumpster juice. So that would definitely be it.
All right. So now we're going to go to this one. KO of the year. What's your knockout of the year?
Nate Robinson getting knocked out. That was incredible. And I didn't even know that fight was happening. I was actually in a group chat with Hale and some other people, and I was like, "Who? Nate Robinson is fighting?" I had no idea, because I'm not a celebrity type person, so I didn't know this stuff was happening. I knew the Roy Jones Mike Tyson fight, but I didn't know the undercard stuff. So when he got knocked out, I was like, "Oh my god!" And that guy apparently can fight. I don't know who Jake Paul is and his brother, but I already know what's going to happen. They're going to frustrate me, because they're going to consolidate all of these celebrity belts, and then they're going to refuse to fight each other like the Klitschko brothers did for 15 years, which still to this day, I don't understand how boxing fans allowed two heavyweight champions to not fight each other for that long, just because they had the
They
same
were-
blood flowing through their
because
veins.
they
gonna
were
die on that hill.
brothers. They were related to
Dude.
one another.
Fight each other. Fight
And
each
the
other.
same steroid doctor.
We're not barbarians. I know we like blood, but we're not barbarians. But let's move on to get to this one. All right. Give me your personal favorite moment of this year. When you think boxing, whatever it is, right? And give me one. Don't give me 5, 10, G Funky, okay? One. I want to hear one. If I hear more than one, I'm going to cut you off. Let's start with G Funky. What's your moment, not moments, moment of the year?
My moment of the year, it might be kind of lame compared to everybody, but I'd have to say when that first card was about to start after the pandemic hit, and I was like, man, I'm finally going to get to watch some live boxing again. I was watching so many old fights, and that was fun too, to go back and watch all the old fights to kind of fill time. But that I had that butterfly in my gut feeling, you know. I was like, man, real boxing is finally about to come back on. For me, that was my I guess my best fun moment of the year.
That was a big deal because in my whole life, I don't remember boxing being in hiatus for a year and like there's no off season in boxing. You know what I mean? Beep, the moment of the year for you.
This is kind of tough because there's two things, but I'm going to narrow it down to one because that's what we do. We have to narrow it down to one. I'm a huge Tyson Fury fan, so when he knocked out Wilder, not just beat him, but knocked him out, took it out of the judges' hands, took it out of a situation where there could be controversy again like there was the first time. When he went out there and actually did it exactly how he said he would do it. Because when you heard him break it down, yeah, I thought he was going to be more aggressive. Yeah, I thought he was going to kind of fight more inside. I when I broke the fight down, I felt as though he would fight more on the inside and use his weight and muscle Deontay Wilder. But never in my wildest dreams did I think he would knock him down twice and stop him in the fashion that he did. So I'm going to say and plus him coming back from adversity and his whole story, and I really do just love his whole story, and he cracks me up. I love his personality. I think he's good for boxing. I'm gonna say that was my my very most positive, happy moment this year.
Okay, Rob, boxing. What is the moment of the year for you?
I'm with Beeb on this one, mainly because it's the fight that brought me back to the YTBC after 6 years, and because it was the payback. It was the a fighter that said, you know, I'm not leaving it in the hands of the judges. A fighter that looked at his opponent and told him, "You're a bum," even though his opponent was the guy that had all these knockouts. A fighter that said to himself, "If I don't knock him out, I'm a bum." And so, to me, that was the moment of the year. When it comes to boxing.
Okay. Hailstorm, talk to us. What is the moment of the year for you?
Moment of the year for me, I would go with the Lomo fight. To me, I do think boxing fans obsess way too much about like the status of the sport, and you know, numbers and views and things of that such, or things of that nature. But I think probably most people that follow the sport grew up watching it, watching free fights. I mean, I realize cable isn't technically free, but it's close enough. I mean, I used to watch The Wide World of Sports, or I mean, on like ABC, there was just fights on all the time. So to me, a fight of that caliber to be on free TV, and that was probably the third fight I watched of the year. You know, like you just think of the pandemic and everything else going on. I thought it was great. And then on the sidebar, Calix and I have discussed forever why boxing doesn't just take the summer over every year. You know, I mean, boxing could outdo baseball easily. So yeah, I would say that was the moment of the year.
Calix, what's the moment of the year, bro?
God, I hate to agree with them. But no, I wanted to agree real quick with Raw Boxing TV. The Fury Wilder fight was the one that brought me back to the YTB as well after a couple years hiatus. So that was just a great event. But the particular moment, the moment in particular that got me was this year was if you look at the Lomachenko versus Teo fight. Rounds 8 through 11, Lomachenko was really coming on, and he was winning those rounds. He swept those rounds. So you started to worry, man. Even though Lomachenko looked horrible and barely did anything in rounds 1 through 7, Teofimo is going to leave it on the table. The 12th round, Lomachenko is going to come out, win that round 2, and then we're going to have controversy on was this fight a draw? Could it have gone either way? And then at the beginning of round 12, that first minute, and that's why I say this minute in particular, that first minute of the 12th round, Teofimo ran out to the center of the ring and said, "This is my ring this round. This is my fight. I'm not leaving it on the table. I'm not letting you take this from me. This is my fight, and I'm the champion. I am the guy at 135," and that's what he did. And I just thought it was beautiful how he conducted himself in that minute, and it was a microcosm of how he conducted himself this year because every other fighter steered clear this year and said, they had an excuse. I'm just going to take 2020 off. I'm going to wait for 2021 to come around. If I do fight, I'm going to fight a guy who I can easily beat. But Teofimo, he said the whole year, I want this fight. I want this fight. I don't care if fans are there or not. I don't care if I have to take a little bit of a pay cut. This is the fight I want. And he got it. And in that 12th round, that first minute of that round, he said, "This is my fight and this is my year." And credit to him, man. That was my minute.
All right, man. There you go. All right. Penguin says free fights. Make sure you guys throw a jab on my like button, man. It's been a great show so far. Not done yet. Right. What am I missing? A milk car? Yeah, my bad. A milk car. Talk to us. What's the moment of the year for you?
All right, so pre-COVID, it was Fury Wilder, specifically the knockout, which has been mentioned. That was something special. The buildup was special. The retribution was special. The fact that a guy that lost 150 pounds got robbed in a fight that he won, had to come back, put on two pretty good performances. I think what a lot of people forget about going into this fight was the fear about the scar tissue and that Wilder would open it up because he obviously had got that nasty gash in the previous fight versus Otto Wally. And the fight before that, I felt it was really exciting when he kind of did the Matrix on Tom Schwartz and knocked him out in 2 minutes. In 2 rounds. So the build up to all of that led to a lot of excitement. And as funny as this sounds, it's going to sound crazy now, but post-COVID, I was actually excited when the delayed fight, it was delayed a couple of times, finally got announced for Dubois-Joyce. I was expecting a lot with that fight. And I put my hands up right now and just admit that I was very excited about the Dubois-Joyce fight.
Okay. My moment of the year, and this is personal to me, okay? Because, I told people, man, but when Lomachenko was going to fight Teofimo, I said, man, they fucked up, okay? and I could see Lomachenko being the favorite. I could. But when I saw the odds, I said, they're crazy, okay? That was a giveaway. I felt like the odd makers got it wrong this time. So what made it the moment of the year was knowing that Theo won, but not being sure that they were going to give him the decision, right? I was at my cousin's house. He has like a back patio with a bar, and we're watching it. And I'm thinking to myself, man, like, they're going to rob this dude. That's a feeling I got, And when they announced Teofimo Lopez the winner, I mean, that he deserved and that he earned, right?
Yeah.
Not just in the fight, but the lead up to the fight, right? Beating the top contenders on the way there, knocking out Comey in dramatic fashion, but now showing not only can I knock dudes out early, I could win decisions against great boxers like Lomachenko. That was a big deal. When they announced him the winner, was the moment of the year. Okay, like that's one of those things that I'll never forget where I was. Okay, moment of the year for sure. Right now, we're gonna go to this one now. Fighter of the year. Now, just to make sure, because there's a lot of us, give me one name. That way, you're not taking somebody else's potential fighter, right? So let's go with one guy, right? Now, this is not going to shock me. So let's start with Amilcar. Amilcar, maybe it will shock me. Who is the no the ring stuff now? No dual winners now. But who's the fighter of the year in your opinion?
All right, so it's kind of difficult this year because all of the guys that I was considering pretty much only fought once. So I have to go with who had like the biggest, most impressive win or single win. And I've heard a lot of people say Teofimo Lopez. That's nice. He beat Lomachenko, but I mean, I just said what I said about Tyson Fury and how big that fight was. The fact that he did what he did, he talked the talk, he walked the walk. There was a lot of concern about the eye. There's a lot of concern about Deontay's power punching. Most people who had him winning felt that it would have had to go to distance for him to win, and then he'd win on the cards. So, yeah, my fighter of the year is Tyson Fury.
All right. Okay. All right. Calix.
Can't take it. That's why there's all this Glovegate shit. Sorry, that's all I want to say.
Hey, you gotta let it out. You know what I mean? It's therapy. That's why we do these round tables. But hey, Calix, who's your fighter of the year? For the sake of like letting everybody have available names, just give me one name. Who's the fighter of the year?
Teofimo. What was impressive about Teofimo and Fury this year, though, was they both won by the unlikeliest way as far as the betting odds go. Because Fury by knockout was the least likely as far as Vegas betting odds, and then the same thing with Teofimo. Teofimo by decision was the least likely as far as betting odds in that fight. So I thought Teofimo being able to go 12 rounds and beat that guy, and especially like I said, when he had a crutch, he had an excuse to maybe fight an easy. Lomachenko as well too. He had an excuse to maybe not fight the young lion this year. You got to give him credit as well. So for them to do that fight and for Teofimo to perform in the way he did and come out in that 12th round when a lot of people thought, maybe what if Lomachenko brings him to deep water? Well, Lomachenko brought him to deep water, and he swam and he survived. And not only did he survive, he looked great in that 12th round and clearly won the fight. So my fighter of the year is Teofimo Lopez.
All right. One for Fury, one for Lopez. Let's go to Scott Hale from Hailstorm Sports. Talk to us. Who's the fighter of the year?
First and foremost, I love that Calix has a real mic in the background, but he's sticking with the Radio Shack. Props on that. My fighter of the year is Jose Zepeda because he won the fight of the year.
Wow.
And to withstand the shots he took, and I'll be brief, obviously, but as we discussed earlier, it was skilled mayhem. He actually made adjustments. He was hurt. To me, that's the hardest thing in the sport. And the one thing you can never measure is how a fighter fights hurt. And he displayed all that. So while, he may not be the quote unquote obvious choice, I just feel like he was in the fight of the year. And he finished the fight of the year. So therefore he's the fighter of the year.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Joe Habib, who is the fighter of the year, in your opinion?
Well, love Tyson Fury to death. I thought what he did was great, but let's face it, on paper, that was a 50-50 fight. And a lot of people that I know they were picking Tyson Fury to win the fight. Now, they weren't picking him to win by knockout, but it wasn't a shock that he won that fight. It was just a shock in the way that he won that fight, in my opinion. Now, I picked Teofimo Lopez to beat Lomachenko. but the odds in that fight, they were as high as 4-1, some places 4.5-1. He was a huge underdog. The significance of that fight, I think, was greater because it was for all the marbles. It was for all the belts. It was for the lineal title. It was the fight to be the man in the division. Now, Tyson Fury's fight was, like I said, very significant, but we still don't know. I mean, I know who the man is in the heavyweight division, but there are a lot of other people out there that disagree with me. Not many people would disagree that Teofimo Lopez is the man at lightweight. So, based off of what Teofimo Lopez did and the odds against him to do it, and on top of that, as Kalik said, the way he did it in the unlikely way, I thought he was going to stop Lomachenko, but he did win by decision. So I'm going to have to clearly give this to Teofimo Lopez.
Whoa, all right.
As much as I love Tyson Fury.
Okay, all right. And Raw Boxing TV, who's your fighter of the year?
I think Beeps was sitting inside my mind before he said something, because he just took every word out of my mouth. Basically the same way he said it. I love Tyson, but we all knew looking at the first fight that, it wasn't going to be like, Wilder's going to destroy him. It was pretty even. But with Lomachenko Lopez, even though I picked Lopez to win, I had my doubts. And a guy with less than 17 professional fight to be the lineal, you got to give him all that credit. And just to keep it short and sweet is Teofimo Lopez. And if you don't mind me getting a shameless plug, Emil Card mentioned Dubois and Joyce and Monday. Joyce and his manager Sam Harris is going to be joining me at the Raw Boxing TV. But that's it.
I got you, man. All right. Hey, Chief Funky, talk to us, man. Who's the fight of the year in your opinion?
Man, it's got to be the takeover, Teofimo, or like I said the day that you made a video about giving Lomachenko a pillow because he was going to go to sleep, Neofimo, because he went into the Matrix and defeated the Matrix and did it in impressive fashion. I had it 9-3. I also picked him for the knockout, but for him to go 12, when just about everybody, all the boxing experts were saying he was going to get worn down as the fight goes on. If he doesn't knock him out early, it's going to be a wrap for him. But turns out that the kid does have that gas tank to go a hard 12, and he poured it on that 12th round, made a statement. And I mean, what an accomplishment, man! In just 16 fights to do what he did is it's an amazing accomplishment this year. I hope he continues to build on that as the year goes on. A couple honorable mentions: Tyson Fury, obviously, for what he did with Deontay Wilder, but also Jermell Charlo for becoming, getting a hold of 3 belts now at 154 and stopping an opponent that a lot of people thought he was going to lose to. And, he's just one step away from becoming undisputed. So, but it's definitely got to be Teofimo Lopez. Brooklyn, stand up.
Look, man, I'll tell you guys something, okay? I'll tell you guys something. There's only one answer. That's it. There's one answer. His name is Neofimo Lopez, the one, okay? The one that decoded the Matrix, the one that beat who many had top number 1 pound for pound, if not at least top 2 or 3, right? That's who he beat, all right, in that ring. And I'm telling you right now, you could do it this year because a lot of guys weren't active. Usually, fight of the year awards go to guys that have at least like 3 fights or 2 fights, But this year, because of COVID, everything was kind of messed up a little bit, So you got to kind of go with those one performances. There is definitely a lot of honorable mentions, but who cares? There's just one guy. There's a Teofimo Lopez one that won. You know what I mean? And one that's not being considered in an honorable mention at all is Canelo. Look, Canelo came back and dominated a 168-pound champion. You could argue, if you put your opinion aside, the fact is this was the ring champion, the WBA super champion, the guy. What do boxing fans say all the time? Oh, I'm tired of guys picking their opponents. It's time for them to fight in tournaments, and that's exactly what Smith did. Callum Smith won a tournament, and he won the ring championship in that tournament. Right, he was a reigning WBA champion, and we don't know if Plant or Benavidez are better than him because they never fought. These guys never fought each other. Canelo came in, right, and beat him. Now, am I going to give him the award for Fight of the Year? No, but the fact that he's not, at least he's got to be top. If he mentioned him for Moment of the Year, he's got to be there as well. Okay, this is what I'm going to do, and this is why I said, hey, just give me the one moment. You're going to get to talk about everything else you love about box, right? Okay, we're gonna go ahead and give our closing statements. Whatever's lingering, any moment you wanted to mention when I limited it to one or whatever, give me those moments, things you remember, how you feel about the sport, plugging your shit, all that good stuff. All right, let's go ahead and start with G Funky. Give us some closing thoughts.
Well, I just want to say this has been definitely a different year for all of us with the pandemic going on. Boxing took a pretty good hit, as well as the other sports. But this is what we do. We cover boxing here. So, but I feel like it made a good comeback when it came back. We got some good fights. Some important fights happened. And, let's keep this thing rolling into the next year, man. I love the boxing talk, man. It's been great being able to hook up with all you guys. I'm still a real small channel. I was subscribed to a lot of you guys before you guys even knew who I was. Guys like Beeb, Calex, Raw Boxing, and D Style. It's just been great doing these shows with you guys. Make sure you guys in the chat hit the like button. Continue to support the channel. Subscribe to everybody's channel, and let's get HCP on the top, baby. Let's do it. 2021.
Anything you wanted to mention? Any moments you wanted to also mention besides the ones you funky?
No, that's it, man. I'm done, man.
All right, cool. Rob Boxing, talk to us, man. Give us some final thoughts, and just any general thoughts you had about this year of boxing.
Basically, I want to thank you for having me here once again. Thanks to all of the guys that are joining us here. That I've really enjoyed the show today. I wish it would have been about an hour longer, but I understand. This year is the year that I fell in love with boxing all over again. It's the year that I learned how to put in perspective the gossip, the business, and the sport, and not mixed everything together, because I found out that if I did that, it actually pushed me away from the sport that I so dearly love, that I so dearly been involved in since a very, very, very young age. And I'm so glad to see that even after 6 years of absence, so many people stuck around, and I kept getting hit on Instagram. And the minute I came back, you guys jumped immediately and welcomed me into the HCP. And to the HCP, I want to say, man, big things is coming this year. When I came back, I promised I was going to grind for everybody that gave me support. And you asked us to plug our stuff in. I already said this Monday, I got Joe Joyce joining me with his manager on the 15th. HCP is going to be hosting about an hour, maybe hour and a half interview with Erislan Lara, where many people will be able to ask questions themselves. He's going to reply them to you. I will translate the entire interview, and so many more great names coming up that are also going to be featured on HCP, not just in my channel. I'm going to be working hand in hand with you guys, because you guys have shown me a lot of love since I came back. So met new people. I didn't know Emil Carr. I had never done a live with Khaled. Never met the gentleman. What's your name, brother? Again, with the
Scott Hill.
Scott. I'd never met him. So Beeb, I've known Beeb forever. But I actually never done a show. 2020, it's been horrible in many aspects, but when it comes to boxing, I'll always remember it as the year that I fell in love with boxing all over again.
That's dope.
All right. Well said. Scott Hale, give us some closing
Yes,
thoughts
sir.
and anything you want to say. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, closing thoughts say obviously 2020 has been crazy. It is the year that Calix's beard finally connected. So props to him on that. He almost has an adult beard. In 2021, I've been saying this for years, but I'm going to get D-Style to Vegas for a fight. That's long overdue. He has to be willing to leave the country of Texas, though, so we have no idea if that'll happen.
I showed up, bro. I showed up to Scottsdale. I was there. Remember?
No, he wasn't.
Anyway, I know we're almost out of time. That's a whole nother discussion. But anyway, no. In all seriousness, though, kind of just to pick up off what Raw Boxing was saying, I hadn't watched an entire fight in like a year and a half, maybe 2 years. And whether it was the pandemic, whether I just didn't discuss it on Twitter anymore, whatever, man, I watched a shitload of good fights. I'm actually going to go back and watch a few of the fights that I probably missed over the last maybe year and a half to 2 years. But dude, Calix has said this a million times. It could be Game 7 of the World Series. It could be the Super Bowl. It wouldn't matter. If there's a fight in the stands, people will turn and watch. It's like boxing at its best is probably the greatest sport, and that's why it's been around so damn long. I just hope that in 2021 that it stays at its best. So for me, I will definitely be watching fights more often. I just probably won't discuss them as much, on social, because it leads to just stupid arguments that I honestly cannot care about. But hopefully all the fights that we are looking forward to get made. And I would hope in a total, byproduct of so many fights not happening this year, that I would hope in 2021 that we have an abundance of those fights being made once, fans are allowed to be back and all that. So if boxing can't get its shit together in 2021, I'm not sure when it ever will. As far as plugs, it's a totally different sport, but I founded a media company. It's called basketballnews.com. So if you are a basketball fan, our app should be available about the first week of January, but we got like Kenyon Martin, James Posey, Jadakiss, Tom Thomas, a bunch of random players. And they have articles, podcasts, yada, yada. But yeah, man, that's it. Oh, and last but definitely not least, D-Style, thanks for inviting me on. When he hit me up, I was like, D-Style, how did you know that I just started watching fights again? And it was weird as hell. He just randomly texted me. I was like, dude, if he had hit me 6 months prior or even at the start of the year, I'd be like, hell no, dude, I haven't watched a fight in forever. But yeah, when he hit me up, I was like, oh, dude, I would love to hop on. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Well, what's that? What's that called again? Is that like a website that you got?
Oh, yeah. Basketballnews.com. Yeah, man, it's a website. We got podcasts. Okay. We'll have an app in a week. Yeah, basketballnews.com.
Awesome. All right. Calix, give us some final thoughts, man. Anything you got going on here? And by the way, Dave Duenas, who takes an hour to give closing thoughts, is telling us to wrap it up. Okay. All right.
All right, man. I'll try not to be too long. But shout out to basketballnews.com. Great website. Shout out. But I have a feeling that this app is going to be like the Detox album, because he's been telling me that this app has been coming for like 6 months and it just won't come. But anyway.
January 5th.
Yeah, I have to echo real quick a lot of stuff that Raw Boxing TV was talking about. The Fury versus Wilder fight is what brought me back to this community in particular. And had it not been for the pandemic and shutdown and all that stuff, I would have been active on here all year. But for me, it's about the fight. So as the fights come back and heat up, I'll be more active on this channel. And Hale and I have talked about this, and D-Style, we've talked about this as well, is I've had a lot of frustrations with boxing over the years and them not making the fights that I want them to make and the politics of it getting in the way. Hopefully 2020 gets us out of that, because a lot of good fights need to be made and are there to be made in 2021, because I don't want to hear any more about Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence not being able to fight each other, and fights like that not being able to be made, like Canelo versus, say, a Caleb Plant or something like that, or Canelo versus Triple G trilogy. These fights need to be made. They need to be made. All right, all these guys they've relaxed. They've had all of 2020 to relax. Let's heat it up in 2021. Right? All these guys should be fighting 2 or 3 times a year. They should be fighting top competition. Let's get it going. And my last thought is this year is not over because D-Style, you actually hit me up about this a couple days ago. There's some Japanese fights tomorrow that are going to be very good. So a couple days, I probably won't watch them tomorrow, but a couple days from now, they'll probably drop on YouTube. So definitely check out these Japanese fights because I have a feeling there'll be a late addition to fight. Although fight of the year is going to go to what we've already said, but the Japanese fights tomorrow should be good, and that's all I got.
All right. Joe Habib, talk to us. Final thoughts and all that good stuff.
Yeah. I think it's great that a lot of people on the panel saying that Fury Wilder 2 brought them back. And then we did have that lull, obviously, because of the pandemic. But it's great that we did have Lomachenko Lopez because I think that really brought us back post-pandemic. And I think that, put a lot of casual fans' eyes on the sport because of ESPN and Top Rank. I have to thank them for obviously putting that on regular cable. And then a lot of people were able to watch that. And a lot of people did watch that normally don't watch boxing. People that I know that normally don't watch boxing came up to me and talked to me about the fight, and they were excited about the fight, and they actually enjoyed the fight. I know there's been a lot of complaints about how the big fights outside of that one, that did show us that the best could fight the best, and we had a great result at the end of that. But I know there's been a lot of complaints also this year about the best not wanting to fight the best when you talk about Spence Crawford and other fighters out there. But I think Canelo and Tyson Fury next year can help carry the sport and take it to another level, because I feel pretty confident that Fury and Joshua will fight. And I think because Canelo's a free agent now and he's thrown out a lot of names that he wants to fight that sound like very intriguing fights at 168. And he claims that he wants to unify. And unlike Triple G, I do believe him. I didn't believe Triple G when Triple G said he wanted to unify. I never believed him because I knew he was never going to fight Billy Joe Saunders. And I knew he was never going to, fight young and up-and-coming guys like the Charlo, like Jamel Charlo. I just didn't think that was ever going to happen. But so I think there's a positive outlook for boxing in 2021. And I think, like I said, Fury and Canelo are going to spearhead that. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right. And by the way, you guys can catch Ringside Reporter on Sundays, okay, here on YouTube. All right. Milcar, give us some final thoughts, man. The floor is yours.
Well, first off, Feliz Año Nuevo a todos. Happy New Year to everyone. What I'd like to do is just say that, look, 2020 has been tough. COVID, people dying, people losing their jobs, people out of not being able to pay their rent, pay their mortgages. But boxing has been what sustained a lot of us this year. And we're ending the year kind of on a positive note. And I'd like that positivity to extend into 2020. And I'd really like this channel and all of our channels to really take it to the next level next year. And that's going to happen by supporting each other. There's a lot of negative people out there in these other channels talking a lot of shit. And, we should just not be a part of that. Let's let them, stew in the swamp of negativity and let us move forward as a team. What I'd like to say about what D-Style was saying about Canelo, I went off on my Tyson Fury thing, and I forgot to say that I also put him up there, if not first, as second for Fighter of the Year, not just for what he did in the ring with obviously Callum Smith, but what he did outside of the ring in terms of taking the fact that he's a boss to the next level, so cutting out the middleman, guiding his own career, deciding that, I want to fight and I'll take a little less money on the front end and recoup on the back end and cut Golden Boy or whoever it is he wanted to cut out to keep the money himself. He's on a level where he can do that, and he took that step. And from a business side of thing, like, to me, Canelo's a Fighter of the Year on the business end for sure, and up there as first or second on the fighting end. So, it's just a pleasure. I thank HCP for bringing me onto these roundtables. Shout out to Dave for having me on Leaving in the Ring. This is the first time I've been on that channel as a co-host. I've been calling in for years. And like I said, we move forward strong as a unit, man, and big things are going to happen for us 2021 and beyond.
For sure.
Absolutely, man. Hey, I want to thank everybody that tuned in. It's been a great year, and this roundtable, it's only going to grow, right? We're going to bring more personalities. We're going to bring some fighters on here. We're going to bring some female fighters on here. We're going to bring, I want to bring commentary. I want to bring some writers. I want to bring all types of perspectives, even the guys that call themselves casuals or whatever, right? Because once you watch boxing for no one watches it for 3 straight months unless you're hardcore. So once you pass that, you're good. You know what I mean? But with that said, guys, I want to thank everyone for tuning in, right? Once again, make sure you hit my like button. This is D-Style Boxing, and make sure you keep it boxing. I'm out of here. Peace.